Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we are asking the question, am I too old to start ballet? I have seen this question in my comments across every platform thousands of times since I started sharing my ballet journey at 25, and we're gonna answer that question today. I think what gets people really caught up on starting ballet at any age is simply because the stereotype goes, your mom puts you in a ballet class when you're 2 years old, and then you start training, and by the time you're 7 or 8, you decide, I wanna do this professionally. You start putting all your time and energy into becoming a ballerina. By 14, you get shipped off to a professional ballet school somewhere in the world, and then from that school, you get hired to a company. That's kind of the cookie cutter way that it goes, but it's not the only way. And maybe it's not the best way. Now, before we dive into starting ballet at any age, I would like to talk about the sponsor of today's video, Squarespace. I have been a one-woman show since I started doing photography when I was 14, and that involved me building my own websites. So for the first few years of being a photographer, I did use other website builders, and it just got to a point where I realized there weren't enough features offered and they weren't easy enough for me to figure out, and I needed to try something new. So I ended up trying Squarespace, and I immediately fell in love with the process of building a website through them. One of my favorite things about Squarespace is that they give you so many different options, like templates to start from, and it's very easily customizable to make it completely your own from that starting point. Not only can you customize the look, but you can really customize the function. So one of the things I love is the option to add a storefront, to add a blog, to add a calendar, to add a map of where you are in the world. It truly feels endless, and that's great because the format of my business is always changing, so having those options to constantly change my website is a game changer. On top of all the customizable features, Squarespace really gives you the option to let them be as involved or as not involved as you want them to be in your website building process. For example, you can buy your domain from Squarespace, or you can easily connect your domain from another website you've purchased it from. You can sell merch directly from Squarespace, or you can sell merch from another website and easily connect it through your Squarespace website. So if you want to start your journey with Squarespace, go ahead and head to the link in my bio to get 10% off your first purchase of a domain or website. Okay, you're 13, you're 20, you're 50, you're 65, and you've never taken a ballet class in your life and you want to start. What do you do? I think the first step is just starting. And I know that sounds crazy, and we're gonna talk about resources and we're gonna really get into that. But I think when you start something like ballet, which is such an intense art and sport, if you set really high or just even realistic expectations for yourself in it, and you can't meet those, or it doesn't end up being what you think it's gonna be, it can be really defeating. So I think the important thing is to just begin and kind of see where the journey starts to take you. So in other words, just remove expectations. Take those away in the beginning. Just start. So you're like, Eva, how do I even start when all these other people start at the age of 2 and you get thrown into a toddler class, and I'm 17 and I can't go take a class in my studio with 4-year-olds, and don't worry. We're gonna talk about it. There are so many resources. The internet has become such a beautiful thing for stuff like this because the resources are endless, and I'm going to help you find them. Where we need to start is basic terminology. I think one of the scariest things about, even for me, going into a ballet class, not knowing the terminology, because the terminology is everything. Ballet classes are taught solely based on terminology. The teacher will stand at the front of the room and tell you to tendu front, tendu side, tendu back. If you're standing there and you have no idea what a tendu is, immediately you're gonna go into panic mode. First arm position is first. The second arm position is second. You see where I'm going with this. We have a third arm position that is not used that often, mostly in center. There's a fifth position, which can be high above your head. It can also be low, and that low fifth position is also sometimes referred to as first position or preparatory position. So don't freak out. You might hear these arms get called different things. The nice thing is that the feet positions are always going to be the same. So you have first position, second position. Third position is actually used as kind of a way to get to fifth position if your hips are not allowing you to go to fifth. So sometimes if you can't achieve a fifth, the teacher will just have you do something in a third, which is like half of a fifth. Not actually, but you know, in the position. You have fourth position, which has 2 ways of doing it, foot in front and foot in back. And then you have a fifth position. This is often the hardest. If you cannot get a fifth position when you first start ballet, don't worry about it. It comes over time. If you're not used to having your hips in a turned out position, that's gonna be uncomfortable at first, and that's completely normal. Like, don't feel like your body's not doing something it's supposed to be doing, because it's actually the opposite. Your body's not really supposed to be doing a turned out position, and ballet is kind of forcing that. Some other notable terms you're gonna need to know is a plie, which there are two. There is a demi-plie, which is when you bend down only halfway, and then there is a grand plie, which is when you're gonna go all the way. There are more terms to learn from there. However, I wanna get into some more of the other stuff, so I will be putting resources down below where you can actually learn these terms on your own through YouTube, through different courses, etc. So again, I danced a little bit growing up. If you haven't seen my video where I react to my old dance videos, it gives you a better sense of what I mean when I say I danced a little bit. Okay, like I didn't do much ballet training. So really when I started at age 25, it genuinely did feel like I was starting from zero. So I want to talk about what really helped me grow and why. Once I felt like, especially at bar, I had a really good sense of the terminology, I started really trying to like tackle the technique of it and figure out what I was doing wrong. So some ways that I did that, one, is I did film myself during class. I would ask the teacher if that's okay. Try to set yourself up where you don't get too many people in the background. At most of the classes I go to, it's kind of inevitable, unfortunately. But just kind of check with the studio on that. I will say though, filming myself has helped me improve so much because I can go back and watch it and actually see what I was doing wrong and kind of do some self-correcting. The second thing is listen to the corrections that the teacher is giving the other students always, and try to see if you can apply that to yourself. Not every correction is meant for you. I've also learned that. But for the most part in ballet, what's being corrected on someone else can usually apply to you as well. And you can take into consideration of, oh, if she's telling her to put her hip down, am I lifting mine up? Maybe on the next time, I'll see if I can bring my hip lower. Now, this one, I wish I had learned even sooner, but about a year in, I realized I wasn't using the right muscles for some stuff. So I literally started asking my teachers, what muscle am I supposed to feel when I'm doing that move? And that helped so tremendously, I cannot even explain. I was using my quad in tendus, you guys. I was using my quad. Now, the quad should be active, but the tendu is to strengthen the foot. You are supposed to be pushing through the floor and using those feet muscles. I wasn't even using my feet muscles for the first few months. And then I was like, I had a teacher tell me, you're not even using your foot. You're just engaging your quad to point your foot. And I was like, oh my God, you're right. It's simple stuff like that. My feet got so much stronger so quickly because I actually realized what the purpose of the tendu was. If you feel like, oh, I don't even feel like I'm engaging a muscle, I'm flopping around, like what is going on? Ask your teacher, what muscle should I feel? What muscle should I use to accomplish that well? And you'll be amazed how much that's gonna help. And you're during center, something that I had a teacher, her name is Linda Sims. She's amazing. If you're in New York, she teaches an advanced beginner class at Steps. She always drills during center, never mark your arms. When you are marking center, never mark your arms. When you're beginning, arm placement is genuinely something that gets left behind and you focus so much on, oh my God, what are my legs doing? During center, you'll do adagio, and oftentimes you'll go in 2 or 3 groups, depending on how big your class is. Whenever that second group is going, if I went in the first or vice versa, I will do the arms in the back of the room, and that has helped my port de bras so much. And I know this too because I get so many comments about how much my port de bras has improved. I never mark my arms. If we're marking a combination, I will never mark my arms. I mean, listen, sometimes I'm lazy. Don't hold me to that. If you see me in a class, I'm marking my arms, let me be. Okay, I'm probably having a long day, but I try to never mark my arms because it has helped my port de bras so much just to always be in that mindset of where everything's supposed to be. Okay, we've talked about class, we've talked about all that. How do you find a class? Let's get into that because that's important. I do think you can get so much from online classes, and there's so many online classes, and I'm gonna list so many below, but if you can get to an in-person class, you are going to be able to experience it more. You know, I think some of the fun in ballet is just actually experiencing being in a class, getting dressed up for it, going to it, hearing the music, getting the corrections from the teacher, having the combinations always change because it's a person giving it every time differently, you know? One of the hardest things is that not all beginner ballet classes are created equal, which if you've been following me for a while, we have learned that together the hard way. What you can do is reach out to your local studios, ask what they offer for adult classes, ask if they do any intensives, like actual basic beginner ballet intensives. A lot of them do. Like I know Ballet West, for example, has one. Ballet Arizona did one. So check on their websites. A lot of times they happen during the summer, which I know depending on your age could be ideal or not ideal, but it's definitely something to check out. If you can look up the ballet studios in your local area, see if they do any sort of adult beginner ballet intensives. If you're 16 and it's like, it's hard because you're not an adult and you don't fall in, you can't figure out a category, talk with the studios. A lot of times studios are willing to work with people and figure out like, where can we put you that you're gonna feel comfortable, you know, with the age of the people around you, and you're gonna feel like it's a good environment for you to learn and grow. Ooh, my legs are falling asleep. Ow. I should not have sat like that. Okay, we're switching positions. I just sat on my feet for like 20 minutes and they're asleep. That's okay. So if I look shorter now, it's because I'm sitting on my butt where I should have. I am very lucky to live in New York now because there's so many drop-in classes and I know that not everyone has access to that. But there is another thing. A lot of these studios out here, they do Zoom classes. So you can access the live class being taught through a Zoom program. Now I know that doesn't give you the access to the corrections that you may want and such, but it is a resource and it's an option, and I will list some of those down below that I might recommend for like a super beginner. And I'm also gonna list classes in New York that I really recommend for beginners because I know that that's also hard. So if you've like never taken a ballet class or you're in your first year, I will have those classes listed down below that you can have a look at. So we have online classes on YouTube, online courses on their own websites, which I will also list down below. There's quite a few of those. And we have in-person classes and we have Zoom classes. There's quite a few options. I would just say do what you can, and when you enjoy it. Really the whole thing about starting ballet at any age is enjoy it. Start it because you want to enjoy it. Start it because you already love it. Start it for the right reasons and you're gonna have a good time, I promise. Okay, so here you are. Let's say you've started your journey, you're a few months in, you're a year in, and you're starting to really get the grasp of things, but you really wanna get better. Like now you wanna see that improvement. I have been in that position, okay? I started at 25 and by 25 and a half, 26, I was like, I want to really actually get better because I kind of feel like I'm getting things like understanding my placement, but I'm not seeing my placement improve. And I really want to see things get better because I enjoy it so much and I want to be good at it. Like I want to get better at it. How do you do that? So as we talked about earlier, asking questions, figure out what muscles you're supposed to be using, ask questions about your placement, ask the teacher to be corrected. Some teachers will just do it, some won't. You can always go to your teacher and say, hey, I really want to get better. Can you physically correct me? Can you verbally correct me? Whatever you're comfortable with, but ask to be fixed. And when you take those corrections, retain them. After class, get a little notebook, write it down. Try to remember what they say because you can take those throughout the rest of your training and remember, oh, I'm not bringing my heel forward in a tendu. I'm not bringing my heel forward in a tendu. Okay. Next time you go to class, review. I didn't bring my heel forward in a tendu. My shoulder blades are popping out. Okay, when I go to the bar today, I'm gonna work on those things. I wanna make those better today or see if I can apply the corrections, right? Some corrections take years to apply. That's okay. Like, it's not every correction can be applied in one class. Trust me, I know, it takes a while and that's okay. It's kind of part of the fun of it because then when you get it, it's like, damn, that took 3 years, but I got it. The other thing that drastically helped me improve was cross training. And for me, that came in the form of Pilates. For some people, that might come in the form of weightlifting. But when I started cross training with Pilates, I learned how to breathe, which sounds silly, okay? But ballet actually, like you have to know when to breathe, when to use your breath to get through the movements. And I did not learn that until I started doing Pilates because Pilates, so much of it is about breath. So if you have access to like a reformer Pilates studio, highly recommend giving that a go because my core stability, my ability to retract my shoulder blades, everything has improved so much. My closing of my rib cage, it's things that you don't think about in daily life and things that are so drastically affected by like sitting at a desk all day. Me, as someone who sits at a computer to edit for probably 12 hours, sometimes a day, I have a lot of spine and hip and all of those issues, and Pilates has helped me so much. So if that's something you have access to, I highly recommend. That's, again, one of those things where like there's tons of Pilates videos online. If you can self-correct your form and be really aware of your body, you can achieve a lot with some online videos. My last note, and it might be my most controversial, but it's very honest. And I think with something like this, you have to be honest with yourself. There are people that are quote unquote built for ballet, okay? There are body ideals in ballet. We love a straight leg, a hyperextension. We love a pointed foot. There's things, okay, that is just uncontrollable to what works really well in the art, right? If you have a higher instep, if you have a higher arch, it's gonna be easier to point your foot. It's gonna make a prettier line, okay? I didn't make the rules. This is just like every art, every sport has its ideal. It's not saying that if you don't have those things, you can't be great, but it's just understanding that some people might have an easier time than you, or you might have an easier time than someone else, and it's okay. It's just everyone's body is so different. Some people are born with more naturally open hips. Some people are born more parallel. I am one of those people who was not born with naturally open hips, and the comments love to remind me about it. And that's okay. I'm still having fun. I can be a little more sickled and still have a great time doing ballet. It's okay. Now, obviously my goal is not to be a professional. There are things that start to come into play more when you're trying to be a professional. But again, you have to start ballet before you can even decide where you want to go with it, right? Like, don't worry about those things yet. If you are really just beginning, don't start thinking about being a professional. Just start. At the end of the day, ballet is an art. Art is subjective. There are ballerinas I really love that some people don't. And there are ballerinas that I don't favor that some people idolize. That's art. That's just always how it's gonna be. So understand that you fall into a category because art has infinite categories. So do not look at yourself and think, oh, I can't be a ballerina. I don't look like a ballerina. No. Picassos don't look like Monets. There's some of them are in the same museum. This sculpture over here is made of wire. That's printed on a piece of paper. Art is always going to be different, and that's the really cool thing about ballet. While yes, it's a very physically demanding sport, it is art. Imagine if you went into a museum and you just saw a bunch of the same stuff. Are you going to go back to that museum? No. Probably not. I mean, on that note, I hope that wherever you are at in life, whatever age you are, whatever you look like, however you feel, if you want to start ballet, I hope you do. I think it's great. It's fun. I love the music. I love the feeling of it. I love putting on a leotard and tights, but if you want to go to a class in leggings and a t-shirt, you can. Free will, okay? I mean, listen, it depends. If you're like a student, like under the age of 18, studios are a bit different, but if you're an adult, I mean, there's girls at some of the studios that show up in basketball shorts, a t-shirt, and socks. They don't even wear ballet shoes. And that's fine. They showed up to class, and that's all that matters. They're having a good time, and they're doing ballet. And I think that's what it's all about. Yeah. Anyways, let me know if you guys have any questions. Again, I'm going to put all the resources down below. Thank you again to Squarespace for sponsoring this video and making it possible. If you would like to build a website with Squarespace, my link will be down below. Maybe you can build a blog about starting ballet. Period. Do a blog about starting ballet, send it to me, and I'll share it on my Instagram story. That's a promise. Actually, that's a promise. I might have to cap it out at like 100 though. I don't know if I can put like more than 100 blogs on my Instagram story. But if you start a blog or a website using Squarespace about starting ballet at any age, Instagram story, it's on there, I promise. Anyways, guys, please let me know if you have any questions. I am happy to answer as much as I can down below. All of the resources will be linked down below. If there's any resources you're looking for that I did not link, also please let me know and I'll try my best to find that for you. I'm actually about to fly to Arizona, so I gotta go because I was supposed to leave 2 minutes ago.